All right, so here I'm gonna give you guys an example of how the SFMA Top Tier, the rundown goes. Here I have my volunteer here, Gianna, who was forced to do this with me. So I'm gonna bring Gianna through all motions of the top tier, starting off with the cervical spine and working my way down. Okay, so we're gonna go over the cervical flexion. So I'm gonna have Gianna try to bring her chin down to her chest as far as she can there. So looking for a uniform spinal curve here. Okay. Nice cervical uniform spinal curve. I'm looking to see if she can actually get her chin down to her chest, which she cannot, just shy. So that would be dysfunctional. And remember, with all these guys, we want to ask if there's any pain associated with any of the movements. If it is, you're going to score that painful in that category, either dysfunctional painful or functional painful if they pass the test. Okay, next we're going to go over cervical extension. Let's take a step forward for me, Gianna. Okay, get you in frame a little bit better. I'm going to ask her to look up toward the ceiling as far as we can. Okay, again, looking for that uniform spinal curve, which she's able to achieve. And you're looking for 80 degrees of extension here, or about 10 degrees away from parallel, which she hits very nicely. So that would be functional right there. Next, for spinal rotation, I'm going to turn to the side. Okay, I'm going to ask her to look over her shoulder as far as she can toward her left. Okay, we're looking for about 80 degrees of rotation here, or for that chin to nose line, okay, to pass the middle of her clavicle, okay, which it does. So that'd be functional there to the left. I'm going to turn to the opposite side. We're going to do that. We're going to repeat that same test. Feet together for me. Okay, to the right hand side. Okay, rotating as far as you can. That chin to nose line, middle of the clavicle, which she's able to achieve. So again, functional there, both sides for cervical rotation. I'm going to be face away from the camera. So next we're going to go over upper extremity pattern number 1. That's going to be the medial rotation extension pattern. So Gianna, I'm going to have you with the right arm first. Nice smooth motion. Come behind the back and try to touch the opposite shoulder blade there. Okay, so we're looking to see if there's any type of scapular winging, okay? Or if she can hit that inferior angle, which she's just shy of right there. Okay, so that would be dysfunctional there on the right hand side. And same thing for the left for me, please. Again, we're looking for, she hits that inferior angle pretty nicely without any type of wrist compensation, but we are getting a little bit of that scapular winging there to the left. So again, I'll term that dysfunctional there on the left hand side. Okay. For upper extremity pattern number 2, it is the lateral rotation flexion pattern. So Gianna, I'm going to have you come up and over the head and try to touch your opposite shoulder blade there. So we want to make sure that there's no cervical spine compensation with either flexion or rotation, so nice and tall, which she's able to do. And she hits that spine of the scap on the opposite side, so that'd be functional there on the right-hand side. And then same thing on the left for me, Gianna. Again, no compensation there in the cervical spine, which is good. Okay, and just about hits that spine of the scap there on the right-hand side. So again, functional, both sides for that upper extremity pattern number 2. All right, next we're going to get into some spinal motion. So I'm going to have you face the camera here. Okay, and I'm going to have you take a couple steps back. So here for the multi-segmental flexion, I want Gianna to keep her eyes on her toes, keep her knees nice and straight. She's going to be a little bit out of frame here. Okay, so we'll adjust there as necessary. Good. All right, and then I'm going to ask her to come down and touch the toes. So first thing that we're looking for is, can she touch the toes, which she can. Number 2 is she posterior weight shifting, which she is. Okay, the third thing that we're looking for is that spinal curve. We want a nice uniform spinal curve. She's getting a very good thoracic and cervical spinal curve here, but that lumbar spine is fairly flat. We want a sacral angle of greater than 70 degrees, which she's hitting easily about 80 degrees, 85 degrees right there. So everything is good right there besides that lumbar area, not a nice uniform spinal curve, so that would be dysfunctional. Now I'm going to have you turn sideways. Okay? We're going to go arms overhead for the multi-segmental spinal extension. We're looking for 170 degrees there of shoulder motion, which she hits. I want you to lean back as far as you can there. So again, we're looking for uniform spinal curve. We get a little bit of hinging there in the lumbar spine. We're also looking for that ASIS to clear the toes, which it does. And then the spine of the scap there to clear the heels, which it does. So because she's missing that uniform spinal curve, that would be dysfunctional there for multi-segmental extension. And then lastly, for the multi-segmental rotation test, we're going to have arms right on the hips. I'm going to ask Gianna to face the opposite side there, feet together, good. I'm going to have her rotate as far as she can to look behind her. So we want 100 degrees of rotation here, so about 50 coming from the torso, 50 coming from the hips and pelvis. A rule of thumb that they typically utilize is from the back side, if you can see the opposite shoulder, then they're getting over that 100 degrees of rotation. So I cannot see that right shoulder there, so that'd be dysfunctional there to the right. I'm gonna ask her to repeat that to the left. All right, and I can see that left hand shoulder there popping through, so that'd be functional there on the right hand side, okay? Okay, next we have the single leg balance. So then I'm gonna have Gianna to just lift one leg off the side, hands by the side, perfect. And here she needs to clear 10 seconds without any type of pelvic drop, loss of balance, or increase in postural sway. All right, which she hits, which is very good. Again, very good there on the left-hand side as well. So level 2 of this guy, I'm gonna have her get set up the same exact way. So once she's set up on that right-hand side, I'm gonna ask her to close her eyes. This is a lot harder, so about 50% of increase in postural sway is expected and normal. If they end up losing their balance, typically I'll have them repeat twice. Okay, and again, over 10 seconds is functional. So she hits it right there on the right-hand side, so we'll try the same thing on the left. Good. Perfect. Good. All right, and the last guy that we're going to cover today is the arms down deep squat. So, John, I'm going to have your arms down by the side, okay? And I want you to squat down as far as you can. So with the feet staying flat, we're looking to see if the thighs can break parallel. So she's just above parallel right now. Okay, and you come right back up. So that would be dysfunctional. If Gianna could clear parallel, the next step I would have her do would be to try to get her fists next to her footprint as she comes down. Okay, she needs to touch the ground right next to her feet before coming right back up for a full functional score. Okay, so that's the rundown of the quick top tier SFMA. We're about to go through at least one of the breakouts for one of those motions.